Hello and good morning. My name is Dominique Reedus, and today I will be going over my interdisciplinary unit plan of Mice and Men, Survival, Dreams, and Life During the Great Depression. This is a 4-day lesson plan with a 1-day unit assessment. In this assessment, the course will cover ninth grade English 1, U.S. History, CTE Culinary Arts, Art, and Technology. In this lesson plan, I have included a unit rationale that basically gives a brief description of the story that we are visiting of Mice and Men. It gives us the time frame. It talks about the Great Depression and it goes into a little bit of history. It tells about the friendship, the hope, the survival, how nature plays into our storyline. Within our assignment, we know that our learning objective is very important. So here we state that the students will demonstrate the understanding of mice and men by analyzing historical context, themes, food scarcity, and symbolism. I have also included the table of contents, which includes the overview, the historical context, the character analysis and dreams, food and survival, art and symbolism, and again, we will wrap up with our assessment. We have included student handouts and examples with completed work as well. Finally, we have our final assessment again, our standard alignment page, our SPED differentiation, and our support chart with our pacing calendar, our teacher reflection, some visual maps, and our student data tracking sheet, and wrap up with the class management plan. The unit overview, again, we start with grade 9. And we're going to start off with some essential questions. We talk about how the Great Depression has shaped the lives and opportunities of migrant workers. We discuss what Mice of Men reveals about the American dream. We get some literary assistance in understanding the historical events of that time. And we also talk about the basic human needs such as food, work, shelter, the sense of belongingness. For our first lesson, our first day, we'll start off with our historical context. In this, subjects are covered of English and U.S. history, and we integrate those two lessons together with our TEKS, our Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, and we have our ELAR and our U.S. History TEKS. And with our English, we are looking for meaningful discourse, and we're going to analyze the theme development. And with history, we're going to analyze the Great Depression effects. And once again, we're always including technology. Well, we will have our students utilize digital tools. So again, we have our objective for the first lesson. Again, analyzing the Great Depression and its influence by the characters in the novel. The materials, we have historical photos, the documentary clips, which is going to be helpful for our learners of all levels. We have a graphic organizer and handouts. So our first activity, which will introduce our topic, which most of our students we will have a brief discussion, familiarize our students with the time era, and we're talking about the Dust Bowl. So we're going to show them visual pictures that will stimulate their imagination. We're going to show them how workers lived the ranch work in those days. And with our guided practice, we're going to identify those historical references in the novel. With their independent practice, they will complete a historical connection graphic organizer. And we have an example of that as well. For our modifications, for our special education, we will have the guided notes, highlighted text. We can chunk, organize, verbal responses, and we're going to make sure that we check for understanding throughout the lesson. For our advanced or GT students, we're going to research the real migrant worker accounts, and we're going to compare those to the novel. We're going to have an exit ticket assessment, and we're going to question, how does the Great Depression influence the character's dreams? And that is our first day lesson. For lesson 2, we're going to focus on English heavily with the character analysis and dreams. And we're going to be working from the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills of Making Inferences in Textual Evidence, analyzing character motivations, writing analytical responses, and with our technology, again, using that digital communication. So, our objective for our second lesson is to analyze how characters' dreams represent the themes of the American dream in our story. Utilizing again our novel, any charts that will basically give us any clues or hints to our characters, and Schoology. So for this activity, we're going to warm up in class. We're going to ask, how do people hold on to their dreams? And we're going to, again, relate to our students' background knowledge. We're going to introduce our characters, and we're going to make sure that we give great descriptions of those characters so that our students can get a real sense of who these people are. For our guided practice, we're going to highlight dream passages. For our independent practice, they're going to complete a character chart, again, emphasizing the differences in the characters. We have our modifications for our special education students, helping them with sentence starters, utilizing the audio recording and reducing those passages. For our gifted students, our advanced students, we're going to compare that American dream again to our modern society, giving examples. With the assessment for this lesson, there will be a short paragraph that the students will create explaining one of those characters and how that character represents the American dream. For our most fun lesson, our lesson 3, which is probably one of my favorites, is for our CTE students to get that technical aspects while incorporating history as well. So we will be utilizing our Texas Essential Knowledge Skills in Culinary Arts, demonstrating safe food preparation, analyzing the nutritional needs. And for history, we're going to, again, refocus on that Great Depression. We know that from reading the story, there's a scene where they discuss meals and they talk about the food that they eat. So we're going to incorporate that with our lesson as well. We're going to discuss those Depression era meals. We're going to give the chance for our students to be hands-on and see how it is to prepare a meal. So that should be a really fun task for our students to get hands-on with that. For our special education students, we're going to give them a visual step-by-step recipe and safety reminders, again, with supportive roles. For our advanced students, excuse me, we're going to have them calculate the nutritional value as an added step. We're going to have those handouts ready. And for the assessment, we're just going to give a reflection sheet on how did the economic hardship affect food choices back then. For our final lesson, lesson 4, we're going to incorporate art and symbolism, and we're going to be utilizing the subjects of art and English. We're going to again focus on those techniques of creating original artwork to communicate ideas, analyzing the art, reflecting on the historical context, analyzing themes and symbolism, and again, technology to create a digital media project. So the objective in this lesson, again, is to create a visual representation of symbolism from the novel. They will have materials. They will also get to show a art walk with their students so that we can all see the lovely creations made by each student. So we're going to have them brainstorm. We're going to have them create their poster. And again, we're going to have that gallery walk with the peer presentations. Some modifications for our special needs students are we're going to provide those symbol choices. We're going to give a template, a collage idea, or digital options. For our advanced students, we're going to have them work with multi symbols of artwork with artist statements. For that assessment, we're going to present the artwork and explain their symbolism. That is our 4-day timeline. And then we go to our final assessment. And so here we come up with the prompts that will explain and reflect on the historical context of the Great Depression, the themes of the American dream, food scarcity and survival, and symbolism in artwork and literature. We also have a rubric. Then we also have some sample handouts for our students, along with the answers, possible answers for our students as well. We have some breakdowns of the characters. We have our recipes and instructions for our lesson for cooking, for our culinary presentation. And then we just go to our pacing calendar for our 4-day assignments with our exit tickets, our paragraph, our reflection sheet, our presentation, and our final assessment. Here, I also incorporated a teacher reflection, the visual map again that breaks down the unit and how it's developed. There is a student data tracking sheet as well. We have the scoring for the examples. We have our classroom management plan, and this basically breaks down how our students should behave and respond accordingly, the procedures for our lessons for each day. And we finally have our closure, where our students can reflect on this lesson in entirety. And so basically, our students would be asked, what did Of Mice and Men teach us about the life during the Great Depression? And they can answer to the best of their knowledge. And hopefully, they will have learned something very important about the Great Depression and this era. And hopefully, Of Mice and Men will become one of their favorite novels, as it has become one of mine. I enjoyed this lesson, and I hope to incorporate this with other subjects and with other colleagues. Thank you for your time.